Hello, my name is Svetlana with Gaia Speech, and this video is intended for parents who are looking for things to do at home with their child who's working on their stutter or has like a voice issue. Whichever the situation, a lot of the work involves their breath. And I have additional videos in my channel that work specifically on proper breathing. This video is about additional strategies that you can do at home. So for example, you might have heard of the easy onset strategy, or it's you breathe in through your nose, and then as you begin speaking, you're breathing out gradually. So this kind of changes the breathing patterns because a lot of kids and adults tend to breathe through their mouth. And you can see like they're kind of gasping for air or trying to get more air in. Just when you switch the breathing pattern, it makes a huge difference. So here's a nice visual to show a child who's kind of maybe around 7, 8, 9 years old. It's kind of cute. So it shows you breathe in, and as you go down the slope, you breathe out as you're speaking, sort of, or you're speaking as you're breathing out. Here's another graphic that kind of just shows the same slope, maybe for older kids or for adults who want to practice at home. If you're a speech therapist, I can put links to the Teacher Pay Teacher accounts where I got this from. This does not belong to me. It's copywritten, so I can just include the links below where you can just go and get it. If you're a parent, I can email these to you, but again, don't claim them as your own so you don't have to deal with issues. But in addition to this, as you're practicing the breathing, things that I recommend usually to practice at home is just things that in the child's environment. So for example, kids are usually working on vocabulary words at home, spelling, learning new vocabulary words. They have lists of words. So a good start is with those words. They're learning them anyway. So have your child just say them out loud as they're practicing these strategies. Have the visual in front of them. I mean, you can just even draw the slope. You don't even need to print this out. A lot of times I just draw like a B in front of the word to remind my student to breathe in. The next step, I often move on to working on stories. So I'm just going to use that as an example. One moment, I'm just going to switch screens. So here's just a story that I pulled up. You can use any story. Kids are always working on reading stories at home for homework. So the first step would be to start in the beginning of each paragraph. And I would draw like a B in front of each paragraph. And it's like a visual cue, like this is where you breathe in and then you start speaking. You breathe in through your nose, not your mouth, and then you start speaking. Once they get used to doing this, I move on to the next level where you're breathing at the beginning of each sentence. Now you already have a cue there of the period mark, which is usually a mark for anybody to pause and breathe. Like our languages already have this kind of innately in them, where we have period marks. We have commas to do that for us. And we have other markers. So I would say that the next step would be in the beginning of each sentence, once they get used to doing it at the beginning of each paragraph. Then you move on to periods. So here's a good example. Put a B here. Once they get used to breathing in at the beginning of each sentence, I will move on to pausing. Like, for example, the flood was floating, and as he walked by, he looked at each plant, pointed his laser at it, and the laser gave the plant what it needed. This also helps the student to slow down. A lot of kiddos just have like a stammer or a stutter because they're going too fast. I know like at school, I've seen a lot of students read really fast. And I've even had them, they made comments to me like they're so used to reading fast because the teachers are grading them based on speed. That when they start, they're just going so fast, they're so used to going fast that a lot of the stammers or the stutters are caused by that, just going too fast, speaking too fast. You know, kids are always trying to get so much out because adults are impatient, adults are busy, adults have so much going on. The kids are just like trying to get their attention, trying to tell them like a whole story in a very short attention span that parents have today, or teachers. So that's something else to consider. I mean, I see it all the time that kids are just rushing to get their thoughts out. And I have like so much going on. And that's when the stammers happen. And then I also see adults who also have a hardship with going slow, like speaking slower. And they often, tell me that that started in childhood. But they didn't have a speech therapist back then. So I have clients that are 40 years old now, and they still have difficulty knowing how to slow down. So that's, again, I use the same strategy. It's like our language already has this built in. And with these moments where you can cue yourself to slow down naturally, and then it just kind of goes into our habit. With the commas, I also move on if the child gets so comfortable. A lot of times that's all they need to already start noticing a difference. But if it's an older student or even moving into adulthood, I start using conjunctions. Conjunctions are also a good place to pause. I'm trying to find a good one here. I mean, this conjunction already has a comma right in front of it, so it's already like a double cue. Pause a little bit, and then you breathe in through your nose to finish the sentence. A lot of times kiddos stammer at the end or at the very beginning, which just tells you it has to do with the breath. In the beginning, they're gasping for breath however they can, and they get the block. So that's why you breathe in through the nose and you just gradually start speaking. Or at the end, it's because they're running out of air because they gasped air so fast, it wasn't enough to finish, to have enough capacity to say what they need to say. And also, if they're not aware that it's like becomes like as they're speaking, it turns into like a run-on sentence without moments of pausing, without conjunctions within that sentence, without even intonation breaks. Towards the end, they're running out of air. I mean, I even see these with kids who have voice issues. Intonation is another cue. And I would go into intonation if it's like an older student or they already kind of grasped these parts, these areas, and then kind of I show them like how intonation changes with a question, exclamation mark, and within a sentence. Sometimes in one sentence, this intonation goes up and down. So all of that is just more cues to help you slow down, to breathe more appropriately, correctly, through your nose, engaging the belly. It's the belly that needs to do all the work. And if you breathe in correctly, the diaphragm has enough capacity to, so that you have enough air to make a sentence and not feel like you're running out of air towards the end. So I hope these strategies and tips were helpful. You can feel free to message me if anything was not clear. And again, I'll put links to the visuals below. And if you're a parent and you don't have access probably to Teacher Pay Teacher, it's for educators, I can just email you the visuals if you like them. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.